so you're thinking about making that move to Chicago, but you got a couple questions that need answers, right? You need to know the pros and the cons. You want to know what to expect when you get to Chicago. Well, you found the right video because in this video, we're going to cover the pros and cons of living in Chicago. If you choose to stick around to the end, I'll go ahead and share with you some of the major benefits that actually make Chicago worth moving to, okay? And we're about to get into it right now. Let's do it. If this is your first time on this channel, you want to know everything there is to know about living in Chicago and the neighboring suburbs, then subscribe below and tap the bell for notifications so you can be the first to know about the current market in Chicago. Hey, what's up? My name is Marlon with my team here, and we get calls, texts, and emails from people just like you every single day looking to make that move to Chicago. And we absolutely love it. Whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days, do not hesitate. Give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email so we can help you make a smooth move to Chicago. So we're here talking about the Windy City, Chicago, Illinois. And I'm going to go over some pros and cons with you guys. And I just want to kind of start off by giving some history about Chicago. It's going to be the third biggest city in all of the United States with about 2.7 million people. So there's no doubt about it that Chicago, it has a large city. It has a lot of people in it. A lot of people like being here. So it has some benefits. It's going to come with some cons as well. We're going to touch on those here. But with that being said, Chicago is also home of 2 airports. So they have O'Hare and Midway. O'Hare is on the north side of Chicago. Midway is more towards the south side of Chicago. So if you're trying to get in here, you can come in either airport. They're both international, but it's easy to get into Chicago. It's easy to get out of Chicago. So if that's something that you're looking for as well, that's going to be a huge plus. But to kind of get into it, right, we're going to start off with the people. That's going to be our first pro, is the people here in Chicago. They're going to be very down to earth. They're going to be very, easygoing people. They're not trying to be rude like some other places that I've been to. Though the people here, they're very kind. They're looking to help. So say you're out on the street and you're looking for directions, you want to ask somebody, they're more than likely going to help you out. They're not just going to ignore you or walk past you. So that's a huge plus about the people in Chicago. So, I like to mention that when people ask, how is the community feeling? How are people when you go out to the bars, when you go out to the clubs, when you just go out with your family? Are the people nice? Can you talk to, someone else and they not ignore you or you feel like you're bothering them? It's not like that at all out here. So that's a huge plus I like to mention about Chicago. And I'll start that off as pro number 1. Now, there is another side to that. And it's, generally people already know this, but I like to bring it up. On the other side, right, we do have a lot of people who are friendly and down to earth here in Chicago, but at the same time, there are also people who are not. And that's going to lead us into our first con, which is going to be the high crime rate. Now, I don't know what the news is saying because I don't watch the news, but if it's portraying Chicago in a negative light, I'm just here to say that it is not entirely like that. The city has over 2.7 million people. So that just tells you something right there, that not everybody is afraid of the high crime rate here. So I just want to go ahead and ease your pain a little bit. It's not like that in every part of Chicago. So you just want to make sure you pick your location and it is a safe location. We have many safe suburbs here. There's many, neighborhoods of Chicago that are very safe to move to. So, I like to point that out as well in the beginning so people can kind of, take a deep breath and know that they will be safe here in Chicago. Okay. So that's our first con there. Now that's going to roll us right into our second pro, which is going to be the best thing of all, if you ask me, of Chicago, which is the food scene. This is going to be a foodie's dream. Okay. If you want to eat, and you're in Chicago, you're going to have all of the options. Honestly, this is going to be something that people in Chicago are always going to talk about, something that they're always going to miss whenever they leave here. Even tourists who visit, talk about how much they love the food. And when they go back home to their city, how it's just not the same. So something about Chicago food is great. We got deep dish pizza, the Chicago style hot dogs, different, all types of cuisines, world-class cuisines from all cultures, Italian, we have everything, sushi, just everything you can think of is going to be in Chicago and in the neighboring suburbs as well. So, you're not going to really have to travel far to find a good bite to eat or whatever you're craving. I'm sure we're going to have something nearby that's going to be able to satisfy that craving. So the food here is just amazing. It's something that, people talk about all the time about Chicago. And just to kind of add to it, we do something every summer. It's called the Taste of Chicago, and you can literally get like a taste of all of the popular restaurants, maybe even the popular ones, and maybe some of the non-popular ones as well that just have great food. They're also going to be at the Taste of Chicago, and this is a great place to be able to go and try all the different food in Chicago. And I would highly suggest checking it out. You don't have to live here to go to it. So just go ahead and fly in sometime in the summertime if you just want to get a bite. You just want to see exactly what everybody's talking about. Why is the food so great here? You can definitely find that out at the Taste of Chicago, and that's going to be happening every summer around July, I believe. Pro number three, which is going to be the art and the culture scene here in Chicago. It is very, very much alive, and this is something that I think is wonderful. They have many different museums. So if you're trying to get out, you're trying to take your kids out, they have the Wonder Museum, which is pretty awesome. I highly suggest checking it out. It's like that sort of vibe where you can be in one side of the room and you're small over there, where opposed to the other side, you're like super big. So just those types of things are in Chicago. We have the Field Museum, the Shed Aquarium. So if you want to go take your kids to see the fishes, Field Museum, the National Arts Institute Museum, different things to do in Chicago is what's going to keep it alive. The art there, the culture there is beautiful, plethora of things to do. And not to mention the live music that we have throughout the summertime and all throughout the year, the festivals that we have. We even have Lollapalooza that comes to Chicago every single year. And that's a high ticket, attraction that brings, a lot of tourism to Chicago. A lot of people visit in the summertime, and it actually makes the summertime of Chicago kind of like an experience. It's not just just the summertime like it is maybe everywhere else in the world, but in Chicago, when it's the summertime, man, it is like a vibe. It is like a scene there. Like it's nothing that you've ever experienced before. So if you just want to kind of get a little taste of what Chicago has to offer before you decide to make that move, shoot, go ahead and just book a flight, come visit, check out the scene, see if you like it, and then give us a call so we can help you make that move. Okay, but that's going to be our pro number three. But next we're going to jump into the con, which is going to be high traffic. Right now, Chicago is a very live city, and I don't know why this is, but we have some heavy traffic. I believe it is ranked number one, if I'm not mistaken, in the worst traffic in all of Illinois. So, if you're thinking about moving here and you're concerned about your commute times, just kind of based off of, where you decide to stay. If you just decide to stay in the suburbs of Chicago, maybe, a longer commute to get into downtown, or if you just decide to stay in the neighborhood of Chicago, then it may be a little bit easier for you to get in and out of downtown. But that's just kind of a preference that we like to point out. Make sure that you plan ahead and you know your commute time so you can get back and forth from where you need to go in enough time. And I don't know what it is about our highways, but and I've been to different cities where they have like 4 or 5 different lane highways. And for some reason in Chicago, I think the max we have is like 4 lanes on one side and 4 lanes on the other side. So, and sometimes it can get a little backed up, especially during 4 or 5 o'clock or like 7 o'clock when people are trying to get downtown, for maybe a sporting event or something, or around the morning time when they're trying to commute to work. You can either decide to take your own car and sit in some traffic sometimes, or you can decide to use public transportation. We have some of the best public transportation in all of the US. So that is an option that we also like to, let our clients know. Okay. All right. So that's going to roll us right into our next pro, which is honestly my favorite one of them all. And that's going to be the sports scene here in Chicago. We have a ton of different sports teams here. And I'm going to go ahead and try to name them all for you right here. All right. So the first one is going to have to be my Chicago Bulls. Huge basketball fan here. Love my Bulls. We're going to get back to the championship. I believe in us. Okay. Now, next we have 2 baseball teams. So if you're a huge baseball fan, you're not going to fall short here in Chicago, whether you stay on the north side and you're rooting for the Cubs, or you stay on the south side of Chicago and you're rooting for the White Sox. Sometimes, we beef with each other, but it's like friendly competition. Honestly, who doesn't love that? And the Cubs, honestly, just also broke their 106-year drought when they won the World Series a couple years back. So that's just huge. Think about the parade here that we had in Chicago. Man, that was just a great time. Those are, if you're a huge baseball fan, you're going to have that in Chicago. You'll be able to go to many baseball games, enjoy that scene. So, yeah, where we at now? We're at basketball, right? We talked about the Bulls. We talked about the baseball teams, the White Sox and the Cubs. We have the Bears. We're going to leave it at that. We have the Bears. And then we have the WNBA team, which is the Chicago Sky. We have the Chicago Blackhawks as well. And then we even have a Major League Soccer team, which is going to be the Chicago Fire, right? So we have 7 major sports teams here. So that just kind of tells you that Chicago, is one of those high sports fan cities. So like cheering on sports and just being in sporting events, then you're definitely going to find that here in Chicago. And it's a huge, huge plus. I love going to the United Center to see my Bulls. I love going to see the White Sox or the Cubs play. And if you want to join us, by all means, we could all be in the stands cheering. So that's something that is huge in Chicago. I'm just going through the list here, and you can see that we're very prideful in this, and we take pride in winning here in Chicago and representing our city well. So that's going to be a huge plus. Now, on the other side of that, right, what's going to be the con? The con is going to be the weather, right? This is going to be something that everybody wants to know about. And what I would say to you when you bring up the weather in Chicago is tighten up, man. It's all right. You're okay. It's okay to be a little cold sometimes. It's okay to learn, to put your coat on before you go outside. If you've never bought a coat, you'll have to buy one when you get here in Chicago. But I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to share something with you that most people don't really tell people. And it's going to be that it's really only cold for 2 months out the year. And those 2 months are January and February. Those are going to be the coldest months throughout the year that you're really going to have to bear through. Other than that, everything else from March until December, you're going to be able to bear with that, especially from, like April to the end of September. All of that time is going to be like 70s and up. Really nice throughout that time. But the other months, may come down to like 50, 60, but that is bearable. Trust me. It is not, what everybody makes it seem like it's just so bad here in Chicago. If it was like that, 2.7 million people wouldn't be here. So just think about that. And they wouldn't continue to stay here over and over, year after year. So don't be surprised, when it starts snowing or it gets cold. Just bear through it. As soon as the sun comes back out, you'll forget all about it till it's back again. Now that you've stuck around to the end of this video, what I want to do is share with you something that, not many tell their clients, but I want to make sure that you know about Chicago and what's going to make it, one of the best decisions that you choose to live here and move your family here. Okay. And that's going to be, the attractions and things to do around Chicago. We're going to be right by the Lake Michigan. So, if you have a boat or you want to go out on the lake, you want to go and see the skyline of Chicago, that's going to be a beautiful thing. Trust me. I went out there. I, went out of Navy Pier and we cruised around the lake, and just seeing that architecture, seeing the scene, seeing the skyline of Chicago just brings a different sort of appreciation to it. I think it's great. And honestly, if you can get over the weather, and it may take a little bit of getting used to, but if you've been here for more than 1 year or more than 2 years, then you're definitely going to not let the weather stop you. But once that gets past you and you're able to kind of enjoy the scene, and it becomes the summertime and you want to get out and you want to go to the beaches of Chicago, that's going to be a great time. I highly suggest it. You're going to meet a lot of locals. People are friendly around there. You can take your kids out there. You can barbecue. Just have a good time. Enjoy the city. Enjoy life. Enjoy your family. All of that's going to be available to you. Okay, and I think that's some of the things that make Chicago one of the best cities to honestly live in is the lakeshore, the Navy Pier, the attractions, things to do, the food, right? If you're a foodie, the sports, all of that stuff is amazing, amazing. All right. So if you're someone, who's been thinking about moving to Chicago and you went ahead and watched this video and you understand that now the pros outweigh the cons and you decided to, go ahead and make that move to Chicago, what I want you to do is don't hesitate. Shoot us a call, send us a text, send us an email so we can help you make that smooth move to Chicago after you went ahead and, but other than that, I want to thank you for hanging out with me today. If you liked the video, you found some value in this video, like the video and subscribe below so you can be the first to know about the current market in Chicago. And until next time, until I see you in my city, peace.